The people who get the most out of working with me are rarely the people that are in the most pain. They're usually the people who are the most ready. Many have read every book, listened to every podcast, highlighted every passage, saved every Instagram post, and intellectually very much understand exactly what they're supposed to do. But their nervous systems, it's as if they don't get this memo yet. They know slowing down is healthier, smarter, even required. They know boundaries are better than doormatty people-pleasing. They know a calm mind and body is where it's at. And yet they cannot seem to connect the dots that bring the emotional stability, peace, and freedom that they crave. The struggle here is that understanding and embodying are not the same thing. Knowing and practicing what will change our maladaptive patterns into adaptive, helpful, useful, high vibe patterning. Information and transformation are not the same thing. I do think information is sold to us as the end all be all, and it is not transformation. Do you feel that in your body? The headaches, the overthinking, the eye strain, the overheadiness. That's not where transformation happens. This is a term I learned when I was a young waitress at a small airport restaurant. Pilots in training practice touch and goes, where they touch down the plane and then go right back up again, but they never park. They never fully land. They touch and go. The goal isn't to never be triggered. If we are alive, we're going to get triggered, trauma history or not. The goal isn't to build a life so carefully curated and controlled that nothing ever disturbs your peace. The goal is capacity within your nervous system and being. The goal is emotional strength training towards that capacity. The goal is becoming the kind of person who can hold more life without becoming ungrounded, without losing themselves. The goal is learning how to return to center more quickly. The goal is learning to discern discomfort from danger and use discomfort as teacher. The goal is learning how to stay grounded while life continues lifing all around us. That's the work. It's hard for a caring person to deliver feedback or observation or name a concern or a conflict, just like it's difficult to receive. This can feel like sandpaper between two people. And if we just say, ouch, and pull back, well, that edge doesn't get sanded off, does it? Discomfort and conflict are not automatic signs that a relationship is over and done and F you. Sometimes friction is a doorway. Sometimes it's information. Sometimes it's the thing that takes us to the next level. Much of our wounding happened in relationship, and much of our healing happens in relationship too. Healing cannot be a completely solitary endeavor. And often if we pull away from conflict, pull away from discomfort, our worlds can get very small and isolated. At some point, we have to bring our growth back into relationship with other human beings. And if you're listening right now, wondering whether you're ready for this work, whether you're, for lack of a better way to say it, my kind of person, here's a simple check-in list. Number 1, you're willing to be uncomfortable in the service of personal growth, not just to sit in it for the sake of sitting in discomfort and checking a box. You don't expect healing to feel good all the time. How does it feel to heal after an incision from a surgery? It's rough, right? Number 2, you can tolerate respectful disagreement. Our culture has demonized disagreement through politics, and this may be more difficult and more necessary than ever before, and I will say it because it's the truth. I serve across the political spectrum, always have, expect to, always will. In healing work, you don't need your coach to think exactly like you. In fact, you don't want them to. I'd argue you don't need or want your friends to think exactly like you either. Same in dating and partnership. Do we really want only other versions of ourselves around? Number 3, You're tired of collecting information for the sake of collecting information. You've read the books, listened to the podcasts. It's all interesting, isn't it? Super interesting. You saved the posts, but you're beginning to realize that information is not transformation. And I think that's been one of the maybe well-intentioned, but little lies of this era that we're living through. Oh, just think about it more. Number 4, you're willing to look at your part. You're willing to look at your part, not because everything is your fault. This isn't about blame. It's about ownership, because that's where your power lies. That's why blaming diminishes personal power in this life, and ownership restores it. Number 5, you can hear something you don't like without immediately defending yourself, while allowing me to coach you through the nuances of that experience and those changes. Most highly sensitive people say that they want honesty and authenticity. Fewer actually want it when it happens in real time. Number 6, you understand that insight is not enough. You know exactly why you do the thing. Let's say overthinking. And you know it's a problem. You know it needs to stop. It needs to change. Yet you just keep waking up every day and doing the same thing. Now it's time for practice. Number 7, you show up, not just to me or not just to the work with somebody else. You show up in your life. You don't give yourself excuses and permission to not show up. You schedule, you come to sessions, you participate actively. You understand change requires repetition and consistency and time to let life unfold and bring challenges so that you can practice and strength train different emotional muscles in real life in real time. Number 8, you want a guide, not a guru, not somebody who will make decisions for you so that you don't have to own the decisions. It might feel good in the moment to not have to think, but it will thwart your growth if you want to work with somebody who will tell you what to think. You want someone to help you think more clearly, create processes of how to think, not just in an exhausting, overthinking way, but productively, compassionately, maturely. Number 9, you're willing to have hard conversations, even if you don't know how. This is very important in growth work, being willing to have hard conversations instead of silently building resentment and a story and running. Number 10, you're more interested in becoming than appearing. You're not interested in looking spiritual, not looking healed, not sounding evolved, actually becoming. The people who tend to do best with me aren't necessarily the people in the most pain. They're the people willing to engage the most. They're curious, they're honest, they're strong enough to be challenged with love and humble enough to learn. People who want true empowerment don't expect me to save them. They expect me to walk beside them while they learn how to save themselves. And maybe that's the real question. Not, do I need help? The better question is, am I ready to participate in my own growth? Because readiness matters far more than suffering. Maybe it isn't another book you need. Maybe it isn't another podcast or episode. Maybe it isn't another insight. Maybe it isn't even another thought. Maybe it's time to do towards being, to emotionally strength train, to practice. Maybe it's time to land that plane.